Welcome everybody to the HolloTalk podcast. This is Jetpack Nick, and I'm here with a very special guest today, Jam. Say what's up to the people.
Hey.
That's all the people get is a little hey.
Yeah, I'm very soft spoken.
All right, well, we are definitely going to find out a lot about you today. All right, so before we officially get into it, can you let the people know who you are, what you're about, and what you do?
My name's Jvmyrvh, but everybody calls me Jam. Long story, but just call me Jam. And I ended up trademarking it because it's easier for people to say than my actual name, Jvmyrvh, which is sad because it's just like I'm tired of people calling me Jvmyrvh, but that's totally different. But I'm a graphic designer and I currently work at a marketing and advertising agency in the home building industry.
Okay, can you like put that in layman's terms? I don't even know what that means, so.
So when people buy homes and they look at advertisements like, oh, for sale, or they get emails and stuff like that, that's what I do.
Okay, all right. So just a all around creative.
Yes, all around creative, but I also illustrate. So that's what I do in my spare time when I'm not designing like emails or banner ads and stuff like that.
Okay, so I have to ask the question because when I first came across you, the thing that caught my attention was your fashion sense, right?
Yeah.
So can you kind of give us some insight on how you got started in fashion and what fashion means to you?
Well, how I got started, I would say I've always been into like academic looks, which is, what they also call like academia looks. So I like that scholarly, professional look, but it has a twist to it because most people think of like anime characters since I watch anime sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll reference the uniforms that like the prep characters inside of anime wears, and
Right.
I'll bring it to real life, but I'll mix high fashion and maybe like some other clothes that I might find in like Target or JC Penney, Macy's and things like that. But I only like to showcase it in modest fashion. And that just ties to my beliefs because women wear like skirts and head coverings in my religion. So in like 90% of my pics, you might see me with something covering my head or a bucket hat. But I like bucket hats the most because I've been wearing bucket hats since I was like born. So most people can't tell. They just think it's like just my style, but I incorporate my spiritual beliefs with my style. So people aren't like, like, dang, like I understand you gotta be modest, but you gotta be like born with it. Like you gotta bring it back to the 1400s. No, like I learned how to incorporate it and make it look good.
All right. So I'm glad you even brought up the bucket hat thing because bucket hats, that's my thing too. I literally just bought a bucket hat like 2 days ago. Fly
Yeah.
as shit, Adidas joint, black, and it got a pocket on the top of it. It's hard. When I seen the pocket, I was like, oh yeah, I gotta get it. Everything I wear got extra pockets. So so your bucket hat's definitely the way. But
They are.
yeah, so let me find out more about the people in the fashion industry that inspired you to go about the looks the way that you do.
If I'm going to be real, I would start with home first because
Okay.
that's your first example in everything in life. And my mom was a prime example of the fashion sense that I'm into. So, like, if anyone was to ever see my mom, she has a new look every single day.
Oh, mom's and swaggy.
Yeah,
Oh, all right, okay.
she is mainly a bohemian chic person, but she dabbles in every single form, and she's taught me what sites to look at and what things to grasp on. But of course, you have to have your own style. So before, I was just wearing like long skirts and hoodies, and I'm like, how can I make this work? Because I would always have a little baseball cap on
Hmm.
Doc Martens. And I've had like the same pair of Doc Martens since I was in like eighth grade, which is another thing we can get into because if you get a pair of Docs, there's no reason for you to get like a whole bunch of pairs. If you have one solid pair, you can rock that with anything. But that's getting off topic.
Nah, no, it's not. We talking fashion, so anything fashion related is on topic. So go ahead, tell me the story.
So if you get a pair of Docs, The key is that I think it's like it's a plated sole, and then it's like a soft bouncy sole as well. So I guess they try to incorporate how Dr. Scholl's makes their shoes,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like an orthopedic sneaker. But everybody knows when you first get your docs, when you break them in, your feet are going to be hurting. But it's worth the breaking because the sole takes forever to wear down. I mean, I wore the same pair from like eighth grade to 12th grade every single day, and the sole didn't start wearing down literally until 12th grade year. So, if you really want some nice workwear, since workwear is the new trend now anyway, get some docs.
That's interesting. Workwear is the term, but nobody wants to go to work. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm actually interested in this point because for me, the start point of my outfit starts either at my shoes or my hat. I mean, obviously you see all the hats in the background, right? But for you, like what's the key essential part like of your outfit that you dress around?
I have to dress around the skirt. If the skirt doesn't look right, the whole outfit won't look right. Like I would say my most recent pic that I posted, I had on a cream colored shirt. I had on a like a graphite colored cargo skirt, and then I had on some Solomons. But I really didn't want to have that bright colored shirt with the graphite colored skirt because I wanted it to be a dark outfit instead of mixing darks and lights. So
Mm-hmm.
with the cargo, I really wanted like a North Face windbreaker just to transition into fall, and
Right.
then maybe like Converse or something and a tote bag. And the only reason I advocate for tote bags now is because of the sustainability push that fashion is trying to transition towards. But in reality, they're not really pushing towards it because there's no way you're going to halt production of everything that you have in line because whatever they come out with in the next season, they've already made at least like a year or two before because
Right.
then you will be rushing. So it's like, how much backed up are they in production until they say, okay, we're finally pushing sustainable products? And then it's like, where's your sustainability report? Like, I think, what was it? H&M just got caught for lying, saying that they were being sustainable and they really weren't. So now it's like, who's really telling the truth? And can we really save the planet by just carrying tote bags instead of plastic bags everywhere?
I mean, maybe. I mean, I think that the tote bag thing could be um environmentally friendly and it's just easier to use.
Yeah.
You can carry it around and you can make it fashionable. Yeah, it's hard to make a plastic bag fashionable.
Until you're at the supermarket and you need to carry all the stuff, and it's like, how am I gonna put the paper towels in here? And you by yourself, like you carrying
Hmm.
all that by yourself, that's hard.
Okay, so let's transition a little bit. I mean, we can stay on fashion, but let's transition from the topic that we was just on. So I'm curious to know, like, who are the designers currently, or even in the past, that have influenced you the most, or are your favorite? Give me five.
So we're going to start. I would say that the first designer that I looked towards was Raf Simmons. And after Raf, I dabbled and dabbled a little bit more into Margiela.
Hmm.
And after Margiela, of course, I stayed with Comme des Garçons, but mainly their black line and their main line. Like I like Hearts, don't get me wrong, with the play and everything, but play was just to help get mainstream onto the brand by adding more graphics. But when you look at the sole purpose of Comme des Garçons and the history behind it, you'll understand that the minimal wear is really like what's best. So I went for designers that had minimal aesthetics because with modest wear you don't want to do too much.
Right.
So I wouldn't say like, oh, Murakami influenced me or Pharrell influenced me, because no, those are people that show so many colors in the
And
palette.
very, very eccentric.
Yes, that's not me. But I do have a love for what Virgil did, because he made simplicity a totally different art form from what
Yeah,
it.
shouts out to Virgil.
Yeah.
Yeah, rest in peace, man.
Bad moment, honestly. Like I usually don't care. Well, I wouldn't say I wouldn't care, but I'm like, I always hope that the person's family is good after they experience a death. But that probably was like the first death to affect me, because I've seen the way that he has paved the way for Black creatives and actually made them feel like they have a chance.
Right. I mean, absolutely. Cause I mean, for me, like, I'm not like the huge fashion guy. Like, I mean, like, I think I dress pretty decent, but I dress comfortable. I wear hoodies, sweatpants, a fresh fly pair of sneakers, and a nice hat. Right. That's what
Yeah.
I do. Right. But seeing somebody like Virgil, seeing the way that he took my favorite sneaker, which is the Air Force One, and he just flipped the whole script on it. Like, what would I do for some Louis Vuitton AF1s?
But see, like now I want to ask you, what is it about the Air Force One? Why does everybody love Air Force Ones?
So I can't speak for everybody, but for me, it kind of goes to what you said. Like, it's a minimal aesthetic, right? Like, the design of the shoe is really, really simple. It's classic, and it pretty much goes with anything. And on top of that, it has endless amounts of colorways. Like, you can do so much with the shoe. Like, it's the how do I want to say it? Like, the base of the shoe is it's like an empty canvas. Like, you could just do so much with it. So much creativity could go into making that shoe. Whereas you got some shoes where the shoe itself is
Hmm.
that's the design, that's the aesthetic. Like, it doesn't really matter what colors you put on it. It's the shoe itself. It's
Yeah.
the opposite for the Air Force One, and I think that's why I like it the most.
Okay, I understand. I understand now.
You know, I'm assuming you're not a fan of the Air Force One.
No, not at all.
Why?
Because they're so bulky, and then everyone started talking trash about the black Air Force Ones, because they say like you got the black Air Force Ones, you robbing people, and it's like, dang, when you a little kid, your mom buy you like black Air Force Ones because she don't want you to get any other shoes dirty. So
Right.
now they like, oh, this little kid growing up to be a robber, like, hey man.
No, that's just internet trolling type activity. Like, that don't really mean nothing. But I mean, like, me personally, like, I would rock the black AF1, like, in the right circumstance. But I'm pretty classic with mine. Like, I wear the low top, all
Mhm.
white AF1s, or I got a few different designs. I got a suede pair with a bubblegum sole. Like, I got a few different joints.
Okay. The bubble gum is crazy.
No, yeah, listen. I told you it's about the different combinations that you could do with it. Like we used to sit in school and we used to be on Nike.com and we used to like put the colors on the different shoes or whatever, with no intentions of ever buying these fucking shoes. But it was just the point that you just had so much creative freedom in making something that was truly for you, from you.
Yeah.
Like, it don't get no better than that. Same thing with the Jordan 1. Like, it's a pretty classic, simple design, but it's so much you can do with it. Now, I'm gonna ask you if you like that. Do you like the Jordan 1?
The only Jordan one I liked was the Travis Scott's.
Oh my god.
I know, like the only one I actually have a pair, and I'm like, I don't wear them anymore just because that's all you see nowadays. Like that's what
Right.
everybody got on. And I remember I was wearing them on campus before I graduated, and like most people, I went to PWI. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking like, of course some people know what the Travises is, but I wore them to work and I worked
Mm-hmm.
administration. So one day I'm like walking past and this lady, she was like 50 something. She was like, oh, I like those ones. And I don't know, like it just made me feel different. Like I get how people feel now when they have the ones on, because it's a crazy sneaker.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's really crazy, but the Travises, they're just the top of my list when it comes to the ones. It's hard to beat out.
Why? Like, what about the Travis Scott? ones is like makes it your favorite?
Because I feel like with that design and with Virgil's, they made the obvious blow up. Like all Virgil did was write what it was on the
Hmm.
and then Travis, all he did was flip the Nike symbol, and everybody like, "Oh my gosh, this is
Oh,
amazing!"
okay. So let me ask you a question about that because like that's really been like a debate in the fashion world. Like fashion designers do the smallest thing and people react like real big to it. Like, how do you feel about that being the case in the fashion world these days?
I have ups and downs about it because if you do it too much, there's no more significance to it. So I feel as though you need to be very subtle about it when you make changes. Like, and we all know it's a monkey see, monkey do industry.
Hmm.
So once one person does it, they're all gonna do it. And then you're like, oh snaps, they're doing it, they're doing it. Okay, you can get like maybe 6 months worth of people doing this. But when you have going on 2 years now, it's like, okay, we are tired of this. We need a new creative idea. And then some of the ideas that come out, they already came out 10 years ago. Like I feel some
Right.
type of way about Bape because Bape wants to make all these custom collabs now. Like they collab with Gillette. Why are you
Hmm.
collabing with a razor company? What significance is that? Like you put a skin on a razor that someone's gonna probably throw in the trash, but you waited too long. And I think about how people were already customizing stuff. Like people were 12 years old painting on stuff like, oh, I put the Bape colorway on this, Bape colorway on that. And then they felt shunned because they were like, oh, you gotta stop before Bape takes your ideas.
Hmm.
Well, Bape waited 10 years to take your idea and now they're profiting off of it. And you're like, this came out already. So the subtle changes, I feel as though they need to reach out to small creatives because these ideas are endless. I don't think the fashion industry has reached a peak yet. They just haven't found the right people yet.
Okay. So like who do you think are the right people?
There's this boy I follow. He makes hip hop art for certain people, and his name is Your Local Off God or something. And
Okay.
he used to make Uzi art all the time. Like that's all he made. But now he's starting to get into his own field and everything. And he's based in Hong Kong. So he started just getting the attention of different brands and uh I want to say like different artists. So he ended up making a I think he ended up officially making Uzi's cover art. He made a bunch of cover art for Juice World and the
Hmm.
Kid Laroi, but because of that, he ended up getting signed to Grade A. And when do you ever know, like a company or just like a label in general signs artists to literally
Right.
make the work for their artists? So he ended up getting an Adidas collab, and his art is literally all over Adidas stores in Hong Kong. So he's trying to get as much attention as he can, and he has this line coming out called Bandage Boy. And I think the whole way that he's going with it is crazy because it looks like Blue Boy, who makes Wanted Apparel.
Hmm.
I have one of his hoodies on my page. So I would say your local off guy and Blue Boy, they're really next up when it comes to creative ideas. Like Blue Boy just collaborated with True Religion and brought Chief Keef to True Religion.
Well, I mean, Chief Q did make True Religion the hottest thing in the world when he
Yes,
was.
he did. But the influence is insane. I was like, he was just like, we finally have Chief Keef here. And I feel like Blue Boy has something to do with it. I really do.
I mean, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. But what about you though? Like I said, from what I've seen, like the people that you're talking about, I would assume you would fit right in with those people as far as being the next wave of amazing creatives in the fashion industry or just the creative industry in general. Do you feel like that, or is that something that you aspire to achieve?
It is something that I aspire to achieve, but I used to want to be the illustrator for the industry. But now I want to be when they say, okay, you're here, but who's above you? And then who's above that and who's above that? That's who I wanted to be. I wanted to be the back end. I have a fascination with American corporation, and I might be a sellout, but
Oh man.
personally, I want to be a UX designer in the fashion industry, which is the person that does the research for certain products that come out and work on interfaces for apps. Like that's what I want to be. They're like, who put this site together? Like you might go on for example, when you go on Nike.com and you're like,
Hmm.
oh, like who put this whole thing together? It look cool. Like this looks like Nike. Like
Right.
the whole brand, that's what I want to be. I don't want to be the person drawing or taking the pictures no more. I love drawing. I love taking pics, but I want to be the person behind all of that.
I got you. Because you have your own website, right?
Yeah, I designed it from scratch and like
Talk about it. Good.
so we had to make a portfolio, and most people know I make everything last minute. So if you think that I sat up there and had a whole thought in my mind for like weeks, no, I didn't. I did it in 5 hours, and I
Mm,
had to present the portfolio. So my style is very clean artwork with pops of colors. And that's what I went for. I just sat there and I was like, everything has to show a lot of white space, but I also want you to see that it's a lot of colors. And my signature right now are the daisy flowers because that was simple and easy to make. Like everything, half the stuff I make is just like I did it because I had to get it over with. Like it's my motivation to push to something better, but I don't realize in the process that people really think that it's cool until people ask me like, yo, how did you do this and how did you do that? And I'm like, I really just sat there and made a bunch of mistakes and then it
mhm.
ended up coming out right. But the website is still a work in progress. I'm uploading more and more stuff constantly, but before I drop something, I definitely want it to be perfect.
When did you start the website?
I started the website 2 years ago.
Okay. And it's just been constant updates and upgrades.
Yeah, it's constant updates and upgrades, but there was a time during the pandemic I sold some Sailor Moon t-shirts on
Mm,
Shopify.
okay. Okay. Anime vibes. I like it.
And I was surprised because people really liked them. Like I had my audience vote on what they wanted versus throwing something at the audience and saying, here, buy it. Because I want them to feel included in the artwork. Like that's another pet peeve of mine. I don't like when someone say I'm dropping a clothing line, then all I see is some words on a t-shirt.
Hmm.
Like you didn't involve anybody in it, you did no marketing behind it, you didn't even talk to people, you just dropped something and then you get mad and say, well, my friends don't support me. Like, do you see what you just put out? Like as a friend, I would say, no, you need to put that back in the drafts. And
Hmm.
that's what I wanted the people to tell me. I made them choose between two different designs. And I was like, do you like this one or do you like that one? And I had people do like a 50-50, but I still dropped both of them. But at the end of the day, I gave the user a choice in what they wanted their product to be, which goes back to user design, I mean UX design, because it's the user experience. Like I feel empathetic towards what people invest their money into,
Right.
and they should be able to have a say so in the new wave of products, even if it comes to fashion.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, we the ones that's wearing the clothes, so I would assume that that would be a an effective way of going about designing your stuff or going about your business, talking to the consumer. I
Yeah.
mean, go ahead, go ahead. If it sound like you wanted to say something.
Oh no, I'm saying I was agreeing with you. Like, yeah,
Oh,
you should.
yeah. I mean, it is like it's a very effective way to go about doing business because you're selling to the consumers who's wearing your shit. So, a lot of people can kind of get caught up in the well, nobody knows it better than me. Like these are my ideas, and I'm just gonna go with my ideas, which is fine. Sometimes it works, but I don't think that that's the most effective way to go about it, no matter how talented you are or how great you feel like your idea is. Some people just might not gravitate to it.
Yes.
Simple as that.
That's exactly how I feel. Like People should always be involved. Like, you're not on this world by yourself. And I was one of those people that wanted to do everything by myself until I came to a point where I realized you need other people to help.
Absolutely.
And it's a humbling experience, but you have to do what you have to do in order to grow. You can't just go off your own ideas alone. Even people that say, "Well, I did it by myself." No, you didn't.
Right.
It's, you be like, "Oh, I made my website by myself." Okay, but who made the platform for you to make the website on? Who gave you the laptop? Like, who gave you the money to get it? Like, you didn't do it by yourself.
No, that's a fact. So for you, like, has that been like a change for you? You know, just going about doing things by yourself and just focusing on your own ideas, whereas now you might listen to other people or be influenced by other people, um, as you go along with your ideas.
It has been a big change for me because I might seem like I'm being very abrasive at first, but then later on, when they see the N word, they're like, "Oh, you did listen. You was just being a little stubborn in the beginning." Like, yeah, I was. Like, I'm not afraid to admit that. But I would say I still do it by myself though. Like, I need time because I need to think. Everything I do, I put research into it. So I might see something. It's like, "Oh, you could be real simple with it." And I'm like, okay. And the next thing you know, I'm looking up a YouTube tutorial, like how to make this, how to make that. Like, everything that I do, I've watched a tutorial on because
Hmm.
I want to get better. Even if it's like, oh, somebody say, "I want you to draw a picture." And they could say, like, "Oh, I just wanted to be a regular picture. You don't have to do nothing fancy." They get the picture, it's animated. Whoa, how'd you do this? Like, all this other stuff. And I'm like, I just went off on a whim. And sometimes those people give me the creative freedom to do that. So I would say you just got to know when to shut up and listen.
Okay. So, like for you, right? Like, what determines your stance on who you should listen to versus who you shouldn't?
It depends because you have to gauge sometimes because the person that you think that you shouldn't listen to, they're really the ones that you should listen to. So someone that I wouldn't say don't listen to anyone that doesn't know anything creatively because sometimes they make up an idea that a creative person would never think of. So I guess I would just say a person that's negative all the time, I wouldn't even listen to them. Like, at all. I remember what was it, growing up and a lot of people thought artists couldn't make money. And I was like, well, I'll find a way to make money when I become an artist. And
Right.
it's just something that you can't let bother you. Like, I feel like it's something for you to gauge on your own because sometimes when I use people's opinions, I put my morals with their opinions as well. So then you have to figure out how do those opinions apply to what you live and stand for. Like, I had
Hmm.
one person wanted me to draw like monsters, and I'm like, I'm not drawing monsters, bro. Like, what is that? I'm not 3 years old. Like, I don't work for Marvel Comics or DC. No, like, you just have to know which ones on your own accord.
Yeah, I mean, because like for me, like I definitely love to have feedback from different people. Like for you, for instance, right when we was talking and you was listening to the pod for the first time, like I
Yeah.
was adamant, like yo, like give me some feedback, like what you think, and you was hitting me back like yeah, like I like this, I like that, you know, I like the way that you transition into this topic, this, that, and the third. So, so for me, like the whole feedback and constructive criticism thing is something that I welcome. It only can make me better because I'm secure enough in myself and in my ability to do what I do very well to the
Yeah,
point where it's like, hey, if you say I'm doing something bad, like, all right, that's cool. Like, it's not gonna crumble me. Like all I gotta do is just make that little tweak and we right back in the money.
exactly. And it's something that I deal with every single day because when I make graphics, they have to get reviewed by the
Hmm.
creative director or the associate creative director. And when I say I don't know how many times a card might come back to me and they're like, you need to fix this, you need to fix that, you can't get frustrated because there's always going to be an error in your work and there's always going to be a room for improvement. So that feedback, I just take it. And I'm like, if I'm trying to get on your level of expertise, then I need to be the student and just let you be the master.
I mean, you all like I mean, even when you feel like you've mastered something, like mastered a skill, there's always room to still learn. Like it's people that came before you, you got predecessors, that went through the things that you're going through currently or will go through in the future. And listening to some of those people could prevent you from going through the same kind of trials and tribulations that they might have went through, make your path a lot easier while also living in your creative space.
Yeah.
I think that's the dream for every creative, to avoid as less problems as possible while making dope ass art.
Yeah.
That's a rare combination though. It's a rare combination. Everybody thinks they're fucking Picasso or whatever, but you just at least for me, I've always just tried to stay disciplined in what I do, stay consistent in what I do, and do it the way I know how to do it.
And that's the problem I have. Consistency is just like I go up and then I go down, or once I reach the goal that I want to reach, I become static maybe for like 3 months, and then I go back.
All right. Okay, so look, we're going to take a quick commercial break, ladies and gentlemen. We will be right back with more of the HolloTalk podcast. Jam, this has been amazing so far. We will be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the HolloTalk podcast. I'm still here with my homegirl Jam. We just talking some fashion. So, Jam, let me ask you because, like I said, when I first seen you on Instagram and I saw like your whole get up, like your whole style, it was something that I was like kind of unfamiliar with, but it was very, very appealing to the eye. Like it was just so much aesthetics going on. So, how would you describe your style being as eccentric as it is in comparison to what you would see an everyday person wearing?
Well, before I get into that question, I would say, what are two things that you notice that like grabbed your attention?
Well, first it was the hats because yeah, like, I mean, again, obviously you see the hats. It was the hats. Like I'm a real fan of bucket hats, like I said earlier in the podcast. So when I seen you had the bucket hats to go along with the rest of the ensemble, like you said, the long skirts and you had a few different shoe options. Like I seen you wore a lot of New Balances, and that caught my attention too because that's one of the shoes that's like a classic to wear. All of the models, but that and you had like the cardigans on, like it was just a
Okay.
whole it was just a whole thing, like that caught my attention, and I never really see anybody dressed that way,
Mhm.
but the way you put it together, it was like, yo, like this is like really dope. And I think it was more dope to me because I just felt like seeing it, I was like, oh, that's her. Like she's not, just throwing this on because it's hot or it got the name on it or whatever. Like this is her style and she's making it her own, which is what was like, oh yeah, I gotta talk to her about fashion.
Okay. So if I get into my aesthetic, it's like we said in the beginning, it's like the academic style, but I mixed it with anime because I love it, but you don't really see I don't wear graphic tees
Hmm.
that much because I feel like the world is just populated with so many, and the graphic sometimes it speaks more than you as a person.
Right.
So you'll see a lot of times I just have on black and white and then a pop of color. Like I mainly wore black and white a lot because that was my high school uniform. And I was so accustomed to it because, when you get to the professional world, it's like, it feels like that's all they want you to wear is black and
Right.
white. So one of the pictures on my page is the picture that anytime somebody says they come across my page, they just love it so much. But I had on the Comme des Garçons hoodie
Mm-hmm.
with the Doc Martens that also had a heart in it, the long skirt and a shirt. And I wanted to work. So
Just swaggy at work. Mm-hmm.
I used to be a stenographer for the city and in the family court division and in the
Damn, what didn't you do?
well, that's when I took a little break from creativity after
Mm-hmm.
graduating, and I think I stayed there for like 7 months. So, you know, people typically come in there, they want to be dressed to the nine, but I had literally just bought that hoodie. And like I said, Doc Doc Martens, I love their brand, so I bought some Oxfords, but I
Mm-hmm.
didn't want a regular pair of Oxfords because once again, I said I love when Comme des Garçons play added the heart because the heart is a subtle touch. It also gives a little bit of a feminine feel, but
Right.
you can close it off a little bit and make it seem like it's business oriented as well. So I was searching online for Doc Marten Oxfords, and that came up and I was like, I have to get these. Like, I have to get them. Who's wearing Oxfords with like a leather heart under? So I was like, I have
Exactly.
to do it. And I had a
Exactly.
white shirt. That's actually an oversized white shirt that I got from Shein. I don't wear Shein anymore. I just want to say that before I get grinded up. I
Oh
don't
man.
I don't support the fast fashion Shein. Like it's too much. But I needed it. I needed a $8 t-shirt at the time. And the skirt is from Shein as well. Don't no pressure on me. I'm just
I
saying.
you said it. I didn't say it. I.
But it's all about figuring out what works best for you because most people, like you said, they'll follow it because it's a trend and they don't even
Mm-hmm.
know that they're following it because it's a trend. And the downside to that when you have your own style is I'll say you see it become a trend and you're like, oh man, I was on the wave before that. And it's like, okay, nobody cares.
Right.
Like that's what you have to think about. And me as a person, I'm like, oh, I saw it coming, but all you did was sit back. You didn't pioneer it. So if you didn't pioneer it, you can't get mad at the people who profit off of the trend.
Right.
So I would say, um, yeah, I have a academic standpoint when it comes to my fashion sense, but I also like to incorporate the sneakers because I honestly just think about when you turn like 60, I'm not really a person that wears heels. Why? Well, we're in America. Why would I wear heels when I probably got to run in the next 10 minutes? Who knows what's going to happen in the streets? So I
Mm.
always tell my mom, I'm like, she's like, you know, you should get like some heels or something or, you know, like a little wedge. And I'm like, Mom, no, I need something to be able to run and all that. And then I'm like, do you talk to somebody, grandma? And they're like, oh, I can't wear heels no more because my feet is messed up. Oh, so what you got on now? And grandma wearing Dr. Scholl's or Ordinary Life, and then I was like, Grandma,
she
I'm wearing
she
what
got the
you
hospital shoes on.
exactly. I'm like, what you got on, Grandma, because I don't want to be your age and my feet hurt. So that's
Right.
in the other pic. I just bought one pair of New Balance. One because I'm from Philly, so I had to get
Hmm.
the 990s.
That's a
Like
fact.
that's it. Same way, you know, some people say, "Oh, I need the Air Force One because of my city." Blah blah blah. Well, I just needed one pair for my city. So I made it work with once again a white turtleneck, a black skirt, and I think it was a bomber from DKNY. And I
Hmm.
got that from an outlet. So that was probably like $30. All my half of my clothes, I'm not about to sit there and pay 200, 300, 400 for it. I will still find a reliable retail store, but no, I'm not blowing. If I can't get it retail, I'm not buying it at all.
I don't blame
Like
you.
that's the whole thing. So I want to say if you want to get into your style, you need to figure out what works best for you. And if you're just a person that wears hoodies and sweatpants all day, well, make them hoodies and sweatpants work for you all day. Like,
That's a fact. I mean, I think I've been pulling it off pretty well. Like I said, I add like my own aesthetic to it. Like you see the hats, and then the sneakers, and like I wear like a lot of wristwear and things like that. So I try to add my own sauce to it too. Which actually brings me to another point, right? So you have this quote on your website, right?
Mhm.
And it says, "What you wear is how you present yourself to the world, especially today, when human contacts are so quick. Fashion is instant language."
Yes.
Right. So first, I want to know, what does that quote mean to you, and like why was it so important that you used it on your website?
I feel as though fashion is a reflection of your own self. And even though some people say, well, I wear what I want to wear, and it doesn't, I feel like I shouldn't have to gatekeep myself in a certain area. So that's a reflection of how you feel. You don't want to be categorized, you don't want to be gatekeep, but some people like to be categorized. So you would say, like, for me, I said that the reason why I wear something on my head and I wear modest wear, it's a reflection of my morals, my spirituality. That is the reflection of myself. That's
Right.
who I want to be, who I want to admit into the world. Somebody can be goth. They admit that in their clothing, punk, streetwear, blah, blah, blah. And then sometimes you're a follower. You don't know you're a follower. So you're admitting like that follower gene into the world. It's all about who you see yourself as. Fashion is almost like your heart, because that's what most designers say when they create the pieces. And somebody comes and say, "Oh, this is a reflection of how I feel and my heart and my emotional
Hmm.
side." And then they're like, the runway pieces are insane. You see all these shapes and everything, and then they're like, "Oh, that is the anger I felt during the time when I couldn't feel." Like, however, the industry wanted their standard to be for their brand, and then
Right.
taking off. It's just fashion is you. So in this day and time, you have to be selective about what you wear, because the slightest thing can categorize you as something else and something that you don't want to be.
So like for me, right, when I read that quote, like it meant like for me, when you see somebody, the first thing that you see is their appearance, what they have on, right? I know for me, when I like first see people, the first thing I look at is their shoes. That's the first thing I look at. What's the first thing you look at when you see somebody?
I look at the whole fit.
The whole fit? Oh damn, she judging off the rip, the whole thing.
Whole thing.
You better not be busted around James. She gonna talk about you.
As soon as I see top bottom, like if I see, for example, if I were to see you and I see the sweats, I'm like, okay, athletic wear. And when I stop at the shoes and the shoes don't match up with the rest, silence. It's silence.
I mean, but I do think that like it's really really important that that's highlighted, like the essence of what that quote means, right? Because being that, like, fashion is a worldwide thing. Everybody doesn't speak the same language, but everybody can see what you have on, right? Everybody can be like, "Oh, that shit is dope!" Like, and whatever the language is that you do, you go to places like Paris or Tokyo, which are fashion capitals of the world, right? You go over there with a nice fit on, they're gonna be like, "Yo, like that shit is hard." Like,
You know what someone told me though?
what they tell you.
They said that in Paris, it's really the tourists that come over and dress like that, because in reality, all they wear is black, white, and navy blue all day long. So they
Really?
usually know when someone else is not really from there, or they're like in a fashion niche. But I had someone tell me that they had a coworker that lived in Paris. I think they were like lived in was and they were born there or something. They were
Hmm.
like, yeah, when you Americans come over there, it's like, that's not how we dress, right? Like we don't wear berets all day and trench coats. We don't really care. And I was shocked
I
because,
mean, I would agree too. I'm shocked as well.
yeah.
Oh, go ahead, go ahead. You were saying something.
Oh, but then I was gonna say, kind of like how you were saying with Paris, when it comes to the academic looks, I try to base it like I live in Europe, because that's definitely where I want to be one day. I can't be in America forever because the fashion house is basically in Europe. So if
Hmm.
you really, really want to test out your style and see new things, you have to see the rest of the world.
So okay, so have you gotten a chance to travel to like different places and experience the culture of their fashion?
Yes, so I say a few months ago I went to Boston, Massachusetts, and everyone on the street looked like they came out of Zara. Like all the girls looked like the blazer girls that wear the biker shorts. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's what the streets was filled with. Like I was shocked. I'm like, there's no individuality here, nothing. Like, I mean, every girl dressed the same. And then I went to Chicago, and Chicago was the first time I saw a blend of styles. Like I saw people, I don't know how to pronounce it correctly, but I want to say like the Haka shoes or something like that. And I saw the Solomons on the street. I saw Clark's. I mean, they had some nice stores in Chicago. I would go back. But the streetwear styles were amazing. I saw like someone have a caftan on with sneakers, and I'm like, wow, like I literally just had, I think I had a caftan and sneakers on that same day with
Hmm.
a cap, and I was shocked. I was like really, really shocked. But an Asian woman had it on, and I'm like, okay, now I'm not shocked because I'm not gonna lie, I still from Korean fashion a lot. 'Cause they wear
Anime, right?
yeah.
Hmm.
Because well, no, anime is more Japanese though.
Japanese.
Yeah, Korean is it's totally different fashion wise, but I don't know. Japanese people get upset when Americans think that anime is their life, and I understand because that's like us getting upset that the rest of the country, I mean, well, the rest of the world thinks that we only eat hamburgers, hot dogs, and drink
Hmm.
Coca-Cola.
Right.
So I wish to experience Japan one day, but Korean culture has definitely influenced my style because a lot of the women wear long skirts and the bucket hat,
Hmm.
but they're short. So it's like their skirt might be long, but it doesn't look as long how it doesn't look as long as it would look on me because I'm like 5'8" and they're probably like, I don't know, 4'11". So it's like I just take that and then I incorporate the style.
Okay, so if you could name five places, it could be in the United States, out the country, five places that you say either have the best fashion or influenced you the most.
Australia,
That's an
I
interesting one. Explain each one of them because that's an interesting one.
well, number one, Australia, the influence that they had with UGG is insane. Like, and people thought that it was crazy that Pharrell had on Uggs with shorts, and that's literally what they do in Australia. They wear Uggs and shorts. Like, that's just a regular shoe over there. And people in
Hmm.
America are like, oh no, that's only a winter boot or a fall boot. Like, no, you can wear that all year.
Right.
That's what they wear over there. And of course, it's warmer in Australia because it's closer to the equator, but a lot of people don't think outside the box like that. So I feel like when UGG came out, that was revolutionary all over the world. But we need to stop thinking it's only for cold climates and realize that it's a shoe and it's meant to
Hmm.
be worn in
Right. Wear
space.
your shoes, yo. Wear your
Yes,
shoes.
please don't let them just sit there and collect them. Oh, not to break off, but the people that buy the freaking clear boxes and you just
Hmm.
stacking up sneakers to the wall, please, how many pairs of shoes do you need? Like,
Right.
that's not sustainable. And then you want to talk about go green and everything. No, you go green. Like, there's kids out here that need a pair of shoes and you the first one to buy them, but that's just wasteful to me. But Australia, I would say Africa
Hmm.
because I love African modest wear. Like most people, I don't know what it's called, but when the men wear the very long shirts and the pants,
Hmm.
the colorways that they have in Africa,
Amazing colors.
yes, amazing. And people just think like it's so weird or whatever, especially Ghana. Ghana has very, very nice patterns. And I would say shoes as well. Like their shoe quality, especially when it comes to like sandals and loafers,
Hmm.
is insane. but people don't look at that because they're just like, oh, that's just the African culture. But you can take some of those ideas and implement it into your own thing. And then I would say India, the same
Okay.
thing with men's and women's wear. It just the colors, the material, like everything just feels like it's so fresh and full of quality. Like one of my friends, he had on this shirt from India. It was a mustard color and it had like tailored shoulders. I mean, he looked nice in there. Like, and he had on he had a mustard colored shirt. He had on suit pants, and then he had on sienna brown loafers. I didn't recognize him at all. I would have thought he was somebody else like that. That was too nice. It was too nice. Um, the next one, number three.
I think this number four.
Oh, this number
Yeah,
four.
it's number
Oh,
four.
number four. Oh yeah. All right. Hmm. Number four. I'm gonna have to say. I would say like London slash Paris, all those areas, Russia. We'll just make like a slash with all of them.
All right.
They just have nice style. I feel like they get some of the best stuff, especially since half of the things are made on that side of the world anyway.
Hmm.
So it's like they get the first exports that come out, and then we get the last of it. So that's another tip. If you want the best stuff, stop shopping in America, get ready to spend a little money, switch over to a like United Kingdom server or a French server because that's where all the good stuff is at.
Dropping gems already.
Yeah, Urban Outfitters, London, In Clothing, um, Dover Street Market, they all have nice stuff to shop from, but don't buy it just because you see a big price tag, because I promise you, people in Europe don't care about it. Like most people when they see that big price tag, they're like, okay, well, what's below that?
Hmm.
So yeah, that's number four, and then number five. Number five, I want to say,
I feel like I asked you an SAT question.
like for real, I want to say the South, like the South of the United States. They on a different wave. Like I've seen some crazy stuff. The influence of the flannel, like that
Hmm.
whole redneck style, they don't even know what they've done. Like the whole trucker head, they are monumental for that. They started a whole new wave now where everybody want to look at them. Bass Pro Shops, like now everybody's dressing like a fisherman.
Right. Yeah. I was seeing that a lot. Everybody wearing the Bass Pro Shop hats and all this. But
No comment.
I listen. It ain't my thing, but to each his own, I guess.
Yeah. Like if you're not a fisherman, what you got the Bass Pro head on, you got on the cargo shorts, you got on the cargo vest, and you just going to the mall. You're not even using all them pockets. Like I get the fit, but let's think here.
Okay. So you didn't say New York at all. That's interesting.
No,
Why
because
not?
people in New York, they have like an individual style, but when you go there, half of them don't care about a brand like at all. They just care about your style. So it comes with a lot of different variety, but people when they see your style, they are gonna say, "Oh, what you got on? Is that brick? Is that
Hmm.
a cold wall?" None of that. They're just like, "Oh, I like how you put that together," and they'll
Hmm.
keep walking. Like people in other places, you got the reels now where people are like, "Oh, what you got on today? Like, let me know the fit,
Hmm.
top to bottom, what's the price?" New York doesn't care about that. So that's why when they see the tourists and all that at Times Square, you will see they'll be rude. They'll walk through your photos. They'll walk through your pictures. It's like
Yeah, walking through
not.
your photo is a different type of level of disrespect.
Yeah, they don't care. So I give New York like the top when it's like we really really don't care about your style. Like
Hmm.
just be you.
Just be you. Individuality counts. Okay. Okay. So I want to know because I've seen you do this a lot, and I I was going to tell myself that I was going to ask you this when I got you on the podcast, but here you are. So it's a perfect time to ask. So I see that you do a lot of reviews on like different fashion items, right? What would you say was your favorite review, or like your favorite item that you reviewed?
My favorite review was the Marc Jacobs, the tote
The
bag.
bag. I remember that one.
The people were upset. I mean, my DMs were on fire. I knew I did what anybody else did. I clickbaited first.
Hmm.
So I put the bag up on my story and I said, "You got this bag when I can't trust you." And like when I say half my followers came out, I was like, "What's wrong with the bag? What's wrong with the bag? Like, why are you trying to start now and everything?" And then boom, I drop a video. Everybody's like, "Oh, this is why you don't like it." It's
Hmm.
like, 'cause he conned y'all. Like he literally just took a piece of canvas, put his name on it, because that's what he's known for. I mean, he take credit for everything that he makes. And then he said, the tote bag. And then y'all ate it up in many different colors. And it's just like you could have did that yourself. And that's why in the video, I found a font that Marc Jacobs made, and I made a little mock-up on the computer, and I said, "You have been scammed," and I put two thumbs up because it's like it's literally what he did in the lab. Like he was like, "How can I do this? How can I do this?" I don't know. The tote bag. All right, put it on the shelves. And now you're out of $150 and he just made millions off of you.
Hmm.
That that killed me. But I mean, no judgment. Like, I mean, one of my friends, she has one. She was like, "Don't start, don't judge me." And I'm like, "I'm not judging you. I'm judging the product and your
Right.
choices." Like, why would you do that? Like, you could have made this. I could have made that for you. Like,
Mm,
but that's one of my favorites.
okay, because I was like, yo, like I like the way you would just break it down and like just the stuff that you review. I'm like, yo, like she really like is in tune with the fashion shit. Like it's just dope for me to see somebody like really be in their element and really thrive in that element. And you definitely thrive in that element when you do the reviews.
Yes, I need to get back on because I've had people tell me they want me to do like they give me all these ideas, but I make the reels in Adobe Premiere Pro.
Mm,
And like I said before, everything that I do, I watch a tutorial on it. So in
right.
every review, you're going to see something new, even if it's subtle, because I'm making constant improvements to my work. So the next reel, you're gonna see another constant improvement that I'll probably once again be consistent for 3 months on, and then I fall off. But I'm trying to be, I'm trying to be like you, season 4 reviews.
I
Like
mean.
I'm trying to do all that.
I mean, listen, I think you could do it. Like I said, me personally, I find them very, very enjoyable. And that was like another one of the reasons to be like, oh, like I have to get Jam on the pod. Like I'm not gonna stop until she be like, yeah, like I'm coming on the pod because this is gonna create some dope ass content. Damn. So now I'm thinking about it because people be asking me too because I'm trying to start a merchandise line for the podcast, right? Like some clothes and accessories and things of that nature, right? So now that I know like that you are a harsh critic, I'm coming to you first before I put anything out just to make sure my shit is of quality.
Oh, thank you for even thinking of me
I
that high.
mean,
But I don't know, like I'm still a student in this field,
that's
and
fine.
I just want the best for everybody. I want people to get their money's worth, like when they buy a product. That's all.
Yeah, that's fine. As far as I'm concerned, I trust your judgment, which is why I even said it. Like, yo, I need to get her opinion before I put out anything because I don't want to put it out, and the next thing I know, I see a real jam on Instagram. She be like, "This shit is whack." I'm like, "Damn!" Like, so I gotta include you in the creative process before I'll be on Instagram getting talked bad about. Oh man. So I don't think I asked you this earlier, but I'll just ask it again. If I did, we just go answer it again, I guess. But do you have
Okay.
any aspirations of making your own clothes and having your own clothing line?
I do, and I don't know the name yet, but sometimes when I used to draw like little figures and post it on Instagram, I posted sample pieces that I would probably create,
Mm,
but I just made like sketches of them. So one of my reels, when I first started, I made a tote bag with Posca markers, and I worked on that like for hours, but I sold it for $25. And one of my friends, she loves it and everything, but I was like, okay, should I continue to make tote bags? Because I'm a digital artist and I'm not really a painter.
mm-hmm.
So what I wanted to do was just dibble and dabble into different things and figure out where I want to stick with. So I teased it a little bit on my story, and I'm currently making a table out of one of my characters. So I have the wood carving and everything ready, but
Right.
the table just has to be painted. So that's coming out soon. So I want to go into different sectors, and I would refer back to Virgil with that, because Virgil once said, okay, I have Off-White, the brand, the skatewear brand. And he said that he basically has an imaginary TV in his head. So, okay, you see the skate brand on one channel, then you see the home section on another channel, then you see the interior design section on another channel. Like, that's what I want my brand to be. So, overall, the brand would be like Jam R, because that's
Mm-hmm.
what you get on the website. But it's like, okay, what makes Jam art? Most people, as I said before, they see the daisies everywhere, and then they see the people with vitiligo. I made my characters have vitiligo, one, for diversity, and two, because I don't want you to think about their race. So you could see someone have vitiligo, but then you're like, okay, but what are your parents? But it's like, that's not what you need to focus on. Focus on that person as an
Mm-hmm.
individual. Like, basically, I'm eliminating race as a whole, and I want you to just focus on the person. Like, I want someone to see, if you see a little brown speck in that person, you're like, that could be me. Or if someone sees a little, pale speck, they're like, that's me. So
Right.
my whole thing is, sad to say it because it's getting played out for the wrong reasons, but diversity and inclusion. Like, I want to add that to my merch, my line, whatever I want to call it. I really want to just call it merch. I'm not about to say like I got a whole brand started, because I just like to drop random things.
Right.
People buy it, people buy it. Just like the t-shirts. I came out with the t-shirts, and because they were anime themed, that's when I paused and stepped back, because Hypeland had came out.
Mm-hmm.
Hypeland is like the lead for anime and everything. So during the pandemic, I was really, really getting into Virgil, and I saw him have an interview with Hypeland, and the creator was like, "Oh, I had my own brand, but I make the anime T-shirts on the side right now." And Virgil said, "Well, no one's gonna know who you are because you're promoting art that's already well known. So when they
Right.
get your brand, they're gonna see you as an anime brand, and they're not gonna care about what you have." And he was like, "Oh no, but we're pushing for this and pushing for that." And little do you know, what he said came true. And
Mm-hmm.
Hypeland just decided to stay in the anime direction. But without anime, Hypeland doesn't have an identity. And I
Right.
got scared for myself, because I would like to have an identity. I don't want people to look at me and say, "Oh, Jam, anime?" No, I want you to see like something totally different. I want you to see me and what I stand for within my brand and what I'm trying to promote. So everything is like a work in progress, but it's coming out. It's coming.
So what do you want your identity to be?
I want people to think outside of the box, I should say. Like, one of my characters I drew, he has on a Mason Margiela t-shirt and shoes, but he's skating.
Mm-hmm.
He's a whole skateboarder. Like, when do you ever see someone having on a full-on designer fit and they're skateboarding? And
Right.
that is becoming more common. I wanted people to see, like, just because it's designer, that doesn't mean like, oh, you only throw it on when it's your best fit or when you want to show off and everything. Like, it's regular clothes. That's it. They just wanted to make regular clothes under a
Mm-hmm.
different name, and this is their idea. So don't get caught up in it because it's still, I want to say, like, you could treat it like workwear,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't want people to think that's the only way you should treat it, but that's how I treat it. Anything that's designer, I treat it like workwear. I'm wearing it to work, I'm wearing it to the supermarket, like I'm hiking in it. Like I hiked in my Yeezys before. That's just
Jesus Christ.
it's like their shoes, wear them, their clothes, wear them. But
Right.
if anybody does go hiking, I do recommend that you hike in the Yeezy boosts because
Mm-hmm.
they're so comfortable and you would definitely get a nice little workout in. And the whatchamacallit, what do they call the boots that just came out?
Which
Uh
ones?
I forget what they're called. It was like the desert boots or something. They had desert salt rock oil. It was a Yeezy
I don't
boot.
know. Mm.
Hold on. I
All
can't let this.
right, nah, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, the desert boot that came out. I don't know which hundred it is, but
Mm.
Yeezy came out with a boot a few years ago, and Lapstone and Hammer had them because I was going to Baltimore and I needed a shoe because keep it real, when you go to a PWI, they do not care what you have on.
Right.
But I was visiting at HBCU and I'm like, I gotta throw something
It's
on.
just
Like,
she said I gotta throw that shit on.
So I went to Lapstone and Hammer, and my bus was coming at like 11 o'clock in the morning. So I went in there, and I didn't realize that they just opened up at 10 o'clock. So I
Right.
said, "Oh, what do y'all have new?" And she said, "Oh, we just got the Yeezy boots in." And I said, "Oh, the Yeezy boots, let me see." And I bought the salt colored ones. And once again, like I said, if they're not retail, I'm not getting them. And I got
Mm-hmm.
them 200. And when I say rain, sleet, snow, like when I went back to school in the Poconos, if you go hiking, throw on them desert boots. Don't throw them desert boots on to no dinner party. Please don't. Like don't throw them on at no party. Don't do none of that. Like treat them the way that they're supposed to be treated.
Mm-hmm.
But they are heavy and they're a solid boot. So if you ever think about investing in some nice quality boots, those Yeezy Desert boots are nice. I sold them for $10.
$10.
$10.
Man, where was I at? I don't know what else to say. Oh,
Yeah, I saw
good.
on Instagram. Anything I resell, I want people to be able to afford it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I just gave them away to my friend for like $10.
Oh, all right, then. Shouts out to you, friend. You got a hell of a deal. Shouts out to Yeezy, man. That's the goat right there. All right, so before we continue, I would just want to ask, like, are you still good on time and everything?
Yeah, I'm still good on time.
Okay, cool. So, uh, we're gonna take another quick break, and I'll be back to ask you some more questions, ladies and gentlemen. We balling out here. We ball till we fall. We'll be right back with more of the How Talk podcast. Welcome back, everybody, to the How Talk podcast. We had to, take another little break or whatever. We got some bills to pay, you know what I mean? But we are back, though. We are still here, still talking about fashion, trying to get y'all fly, get y'all swaggy for the fall and the winter, you know what I mean? So to go back to something that we talked about earlier in the podcast, right? So on your website, right? Like I see that you got like a few different like characters like on there, like displaying like different things, different clothing items or whatever. Are those like characters that you made?
Yes, those are the characters I was referring to that I made. I made them on an iPad when I had worked in the courts. I challenged myself to draw every single day. So if you start from the bottom and you go to the most recent, you'll be able to see the art progression of the characters.
Yeah, because I was looking, I'm like, because I clicked on it and like I see that they had like names under them and everything. So I'm like, this
Yeah.
must be something that she made. Like this shit is like dope. Like she kind of creating like her own universe of swaggy people.
Thank
Like that was a real dope concept, and honestly, I think it has potential to be very amazing. Like it could actually turn into something more than just drawings. Like it could actually be like the whole universe.
Yeah, I would say there's one. I took the Nimble Stratus Cloud from Dragon Ball Z, and it's a
Shouts
guide
out to Dragon Ball Z.
and someone actually bought that from me for
Really?
like I think that's my highest selling piece. Somebody bought it for 150.
Mm.
And I was like, I was shocked. I'm like, oh my goodness, like you really love it, but it's because he sees himself in that character. So
Hmm.
if anything, he wants to own that character. So anytime I make something with that character on it, he's the first to buy it. Like I really have a. It's crazy when you're an artist and people. Obviously, you're gonna gain collectors, but like to have my very first collector, I'm like, wow, like you really have faith in me, and I don't have faith in myself.
No, you should though. You should definitely have faith in yourself, especially when it comes to being a creative. Like, not too many people can separate themselves from the pack. Like everybody can technically be a creative, right? But there's only a few select few people who really make a true impact on society and culture.
Yeah,
And from what I've seen thus far and talking to you over the course of this hour and a half, 2 hours, or whatever we've talked, I can definitely tell that you have immense potential to really make a mark in that field. And it would be dope for you to do that because I'd be like, yo, my friend really popping like that.
I'm gonna try. I'm trying my best.
No,
Expect
you'll
something.
do, you will, you'll make it
Yeah, I
happen.
will. I will.
We gotta manifest these things.
It's crazy because once I made all of this just to get the job I have now.
Hmm.
And then I got the job, I'm once again doing more stuff. But like I said, I'm working on the corporation side because now I want to level up. I don't want to be the puppet. I want to be the puppet master. So I need to figure out, I need to keep figuring out what path I'm trying to get on.
Hey, well, as long as you stay consistent, you stay true to who you are and what your creative drive is, I think you'll be successful whenever it is that you want to do.
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying that for you, I'm saying that for me and the millions and billions of other creators out there in the world. So, just find your niche, stick with it, and make it your own as much as you possibly can.
That's all you can do.
Yeah, I'm the one dropping gems. This is not what I was supposed to do. That's not my job.
I mean, you're on the HolloTalk podcast. What can I say?
I mean, listen, you hear like this is for like at least for me. Like I was extremely excited when he was like, "Yeah, like I come on the pod," because like I really really enjoy shining light on other creatives being able to build those relationships and friendships with people who have creative minds and especially in different kinds of fields because you never know what kind of collaboration you could do with this person later on or whatever. Like, who knows? Maybe I'll be in your character universe one day, Jetpack Nick,
Maybe.
with some fly ass HolloTalk gear on or something. Like. You gotta
Maybe
make sure
I'll
you
borrow.
put the Air Force Ones on me though. Make sure you put the Air
Yes,
Forces on me.
definitely, definitely. You might just get a character. Who knows? Real soon.
Yeah, I'm gonna be looking on IG. You gotta tag me though. Make sure. If I put it, I'm making my what they call it, your profile picture. Yeah,
Oh,
making my profile
okay.
picture.
Don't make me get started. Don't make me get started.
Hey, I ain't trying to put no pressure on you with that. I'm just saying, a brother would like to see himself as a character, so he could put it as his profile picture. Jetpack Nick, he the man. You know what I mean? No, but honestly though, like I really, really look forward to seeing all the things that you'll continue to do, all the things that you are doing. I'm looking forward to seeing more reels, and reviews, good and bad.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah, I
I have one
seriously.
dropping this week. Expect a reel this week.
Oh, she dropping exclusives on the How Talk podcast. You don't get this anywhere else but here. Okay, so the last thing, I'm pretty sure it's customary to the How Talk podcast. Can you provide 3 gems for the people to take away from this conversation?
I would say, once again, stay true to who you are. Always be acceptable to humility because it's constant. And before you become the puppet master, you have to be the puppet.
No, listen, that resonates with a lot of people, I'm pretty sure. So, it's always dope to have amazing people on here, and you have been added to the list of the long list of amazing people I've had on the HolloTalk podcast. And from me to you, I truly appreciate you giving me the space and opportunity to talk to you and just have fun talking about fashion. Like,
I thank you for inviting me on and even thinking of me as a guest.
absolutely. I listen, like I said, like your talent shine through, just your aesthetic and everything that you put forth with the whole get up and just your energy and your swag, your style. Like it was an amazing thing to see, and even more amazing to talk to you on the How Talk podcast. So for that, I am truly grateful and thankful.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of How Talk Podcast. Jam, I thank you. I appreciate you. Before we officially go, let the people know where they can find you: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, MySpace. I don't know.
You can find me on Instagram at Jvmyrvh, and I reply to everybody. I accept DMs. I accept if you want me to just talk about a fashion collab. If you want to get my insight on an idea, I get tons of people that send me posts and just want to hear my opinion on stuff. So if you want to talk about fashion, let me know.
All right, cool. Well, I will definitely be talking to you about fashion because the Hollow Talk podcast merchandise is coming out pretty soon, and we need somebody of your stature to make sure we put out some good quality merchandise. All right, but like I said, we're gonna sign out. Jam, I appreciate you and I thank you again. Thank you to the How Talk podcast listeners and supporters for supporting us through and through. And make sure y'all go support Jam.
Thank you.
Peace, y'all.
Yeah.